There are a few distinct types of retirees, and sometimes you fall into a category without even choosing it.
And today we're going to share with you 5 distinct categories that we see on a consistent basis. We even see ourselves in there. We're going to share with you how we ended up in one of those categories, and it's fluid. It can change over time. So we hope that you can find yourself in one of these categories today.
If you think back, we started researching retirees in 2018. I mean, it's been 8 years now. And what's come from that is a bunch of stories around people who have ended up in categories or found themselves in places that they've labeled that they didn't choose. And it's incumbent upon us to help people figure out where they are and then pivot to the category that they want to be in.
Yeah, and I know that we both know people who knew well ahead of their retirement date what it is they were going to do. And they're just living the fullest life now because they thought hard and long about it. And good for them.
Yeah.
But people that are watching this today, if they're sitting there wondering, like, I'm drifting, I'm not really sure what I want to do, I know who I used to be, but I don't even know what to do with my time during the day. One of these 5, I think, is going to resonate with everyone. And it really, I think, could help put them on a much better path.
Well, from a psychological standpoint, once you label something, so if I figure out that I am in a category that's been labeled that I don't want to be in, it's easier to figure out a way to get out of it, right? Or if you figure out that you're in a category that works for you, it's better then to stay in, enhance, and embellish everything, that you can do within that category. So hopefully today this will be helpful for everybody because they can figure out where they are if one of these categories suits.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing to bring to mind is that people don't necessarily want to label. They want to be in this phase of life and just figure things out as they go, and that's okay. But at the core, there probably is one of these 5 that they could latch on to say, I do enjoy doing this. I do enjoy getting up in the morning and working on this or not working on that, whatever it might be. So,
yeah, when this really started, if you think about it, was when we went back and we tried to figure out archetypes for those people about to retire. Do you remember that? We had put it off Pat,
right?
Hapless Hal.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to think of some of the other ones, but we had, I think, 12 or 13 labels of people pre-retirement. So I guess what the good news is, if you embrace this video today, then you can see yourself into your role, even if you're in a pre-retirement phase.
And I just had this amazing idea that we should do a video on those 10 or 12 archetypes that we created back in 2018.
I know, it was a long time ago.
We did our focus groups.
Right.
And we actually identified people who were in there. They worked on it and they claimed to be that person.
Right.
So that was helpful. Oh, here's the first one. The project builder.
That would be you.
That would be me.
Yes.
I have always, during my entire career and life, liked to build things.
Right.
And when we retired and we went through our career history, and then we got to hobbies, I remember that I loved building models as a kid. I loved taking apart engines and putting them back together. My dad was really good with his hands. And I've always been a builder. I love to build businesses. I love working on this. I mean, we've got new lights now and several extra cameras. This is all a process over the last 5 years. So I'm that person.
Yes, you are.
And you're not. Doesn't make that. But
right.
But what are some of the notes we made?
Well,
like
I mean,
renovating
some people,
a house,
right.
building a garden, restoring an old car.
Some of the people that we've talked to, become Mr. or Mrs. Fix-It, right? That renovate the house type of project. Or, some people take up a hobby like gardening and then they build a garden, right? So that's all part of the project. You were fortunate because you had a lot of project building experience well early in your life that you were able to bring into this.
Right.
And especially since you're the entrepreneur in the group, right?
Right.
So it's kind of easy for you to grasp that project building.
But people who are watching, if they've had hobbies, and I think you should put Ruby in your lap because Ruby's is misbehaving. Do you want to grab her? All right. So Ruby will sit here and be involved in our video for a few minutes.
So we have a new cast member
who
wants to say a few words.
Yeah, this is
What
Ruby.
do you got, Ruby? We're in the middle of a video, buddy.
All right, Ruby, just be a good girl. So the next category
is me.
is you, the gatherer.
Right.
You know, I think of you, the person who wants to bring people and family together on a consistent basis.
Right.
Dinner parties, Bible studies, book clubs. That's you to a T.
Yes.
And your friend Debbie, who's the same way.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, it's fun when it's your thing, right? So project building is your thing, and that makes everything retirement transformed really fun for you. Gathering people together, pulling people together, you know, creating memories with people as we age together, or even with our family and kids and stuff. I mean, that really resonates with me.
I know, and you're very good at it. And you bring together the children, you bring together friends, you're always looking for new friends, your golf friends, your book club friends, your Bible study friends.
Right.
You're really good at bringing them together, and you thrive in that.
Yeah. And, you know, we're the ones that always have the holidays, right? I mean, we have, you know, well into adulthood children, but, you know, we're the ones that do the holidays. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, it just gives a spark when I know that there's a holiday coming up. I look for any reason to celebrate with everybody.
Right. By the way, in the download below is a free PDF, a free form for you to download, 6 steps to retirement transformation. If you haven't downloaded that yet, that would make sense to download now and do the work on that, because it really will help you kickstart your retirement transition. The third type of retiree that we want to talk about is the explorer. We have a little bit of that in us, but these are people who thrive on the idea and the concept of traveling in America, traveling their state, traveling the world, whatever it might be, the explorer. And I think it's fascinating. There's actually a couple of YouTube channels that have couples, Bev and what are their names?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but the retirement traveler.
Right.
People just spend their entire life traveling the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, learning about new cultures, you know, seeing different, you know, monuments or national parks, or, you know, certainly the 7 wonders of the world. You know, we've interviewed a lot of retirees that have found that understanding and the growth that they get from travel. And I don't mean just travel to the beach and lay on the beach, like truly immersing yourself in different cultures. A lot of retirees really enjoy that. And of course it takes, you know, some time, energy, and money, and travel these days is not easy.
Right.
And traveling as you age doesn't get easier. Sometimes it actually gets harder. I think, you know, we've been to a few airports recently where we've clocked, you know, 1.5 miles or 2 miles to get to even just the rental car.
Right.
So you do have to remain fit and healthy if you are the explorer. It's not for the, you know, weak at heart.
And I think that if you are the explorer and you feel that's important, try it. Do it now. This is the best time to travel in the state you're in now, because every day we get older, we get weaker, you know, it happens. But if that's your category, then give it a shot. All right, what's the fourth one?
The fourth one is the rebuilder, you know, the person who really embraces their newest identity and continue to evolve with it, rebuilding their life, either in the same place or a different location, with same friends or new friends, but really starting from scratch and rebuilding your entire existence.
And we actually met 35 of those people.
We did.
In our masterclass last September. We're running that again in February of 27, right?
Right.
Okay. So these people really weren't sure what they were going to do, who they were, how to transition from their career into a new identity. And the fascinating part was when we took them through our 7 pillars, all of them found something unique and exciting for them to jump into, to rebuild their life, to redo who they were, to really spend their next 10, 20, or 30 years doing something different. Some coached, some mentored, some started a business, some decided to travel, some decided to reconnect with family they haven't seen in years. So a little spattering of what we're talking about today, it all came to the surface.
Yeah, and we get a lot of pushback from people that say, you guys are still working, you know, you're doing retirement transformed, you're not really retired. But, you know, as a category, this rebuilder can bleed into some of the other ones. It doesn't mean that I can't be a gatherer and a rebuilder. You can't be, somebody can't be an explorer and a rebuilder.
Right.
So there are a few ways that rebuilding and re-identifying with yourself and creating this new existence can morph across a couple of the other types, I think.
Yeah. The fifth one is the quietly content. And there's nothing wrong with that. We found out that many people enter this phase of life and they were really okay with who they were. And now they just want to quietly live the last 10, 20, or 30 years of their life doing some of the things that quietly bring them joy.
Right.
It might be volunteering. It might be babysitting. It might be grandparenting. It might be coaching Little League, but nothing big, nothing like, nothing huge, but where they find content in small little things each day.
Yeah. It could just be, somebody who's decided to read all the classics, right?
Yeah.
Quietly content, on their porch, on their lanai, in their backyard, on their couch, quietly content at joining like a running club in the morning and then reading in the afternoon. There's the thing about retirement is there are millions of people in it, millions of people about to get into it, and each of them are very individual. So while these types may or may not fit our listeners, our viewers, our constituents, it's a good attempt at trying to label and put things, put words to how people are feeling. If you are married to someone who is quietly content and you are an explorer, that could create a challenge if you don't have the hearty conversations around it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because when we wrote
I'm not a builder and I'm in Retirement Transformed, with you.
Yeah.
I'm a gatherer, and sometimes if we have videos to do and I'm gathering people to come for dinner and our house kind of looks like, as my mom would say, who flung shit, it's kind of hard to, you have to really open communications if you're in a committed relationship.
Well, when we wrote this script, we didn't really think about that idea that there could be two people with different ideas on what they want, and that does take a tremendous amount of vulnerability and communication and flexibility. Right. And what's the other word I'm thinking of?
Authenticity.
No,
communication.
Sure, something, all of that. Something.
Diligence.
Giving the other person the respect, giving them the ability to do what they want.
Right.
I cannot think of the 12-lettered word that I'm thinking of, but and you can't either, but that's okay. You can't read my mind. But I think that if you are in retirement and you have different plans and different ideas on who you want to be, one of these five, spend enough time in one and some in the other for the other partner. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
And if I think of the word I'm thinking of,
you'll blurt it out.
I'm going to blurt it out. But now let's do the questions our team put together.
Okay.
All right. Let's jump to some questions our team put together from our viewers. And by the way, before we get into questions, speaking of questions, we just launched our chatbot, and we're going to put the link below where you can actually go online and ask Jody and I questions about anything to do with retirement. And inside of that chatbot are all the transcripts from our videos, our masterclass, our 7-day challenge. So you can actually interact with us for free and ask a bunch of questions. So the link is going to be the first link below, just above the
download.
The download that we have in there. So give that a try and leave any comments that you might have, and or questions, and we'll definitely answer them. So here's a question from Maura Walls on the video: 12 recognizable habits you didn't know ruin your retirement joy. So this was about 12 habits. Could you do a video about owning 2 homes, the pros and cons of splitting your time, and maintaining 2 places? I'd actually would like to do a video on owning 1 home. Owning 2 homes is beautiful for us. I mean, we live in Florida in the winter. We live in New Jersey in the summer. We live in warm weather all year long. And it's actually a place to attract our children. They come visit us in both places. Because Jody's the gatherer, she makes it welcoming and open for that. There are hassles with owning 2 homes and, having a video on that probably is a good idea.
Yeah, I think we did a video a very long time ago. I mean, it could be like as long ago as like 4 years ago. We did a video on owning two homes and, and being in two distinct communities that were very different, having two different friend groups and things like that. But it's probably time to do another one. So that's a good idea.
And if we did do a video on that, that will be the third link in the show notes below. So take a look for that. So here's another question. This is a long one. DS Love SAU. DS Love Sow. Don't know. Hey guys, I'm a huge fan. Love your channel. Can you do a video on boundaries? We've had this question multiple times, particularly with family. Since I retired, I find I have to scratch and claw for time to do what I want because I have kids, grandkids, and elderly parents who live 1.5, 3, and 6 hours from me, who are always needing me for things. I swear I had more time for me and my husband when I was a full-time decorator. I know I need to say no at times. Can you address how this happens? How those we love take up your time once they think you have nothing to do? Also, will you post where you find and take the master classes? I love this idea if I can find the time. Ha ha. So
we've talked, I know I did a solo video where I talked about boundaries and the books that I've done on boundaries and the workbooks that I've done on boundaries. It's still something that as a mom and a grandmom and a wife and a sister and a daughter, it's still something that I struggle with. But I do think that by helping yourself to learning about strategies around boundaries, I do think that it does help you keep your peace. I know, for example, with the kids, if you and I have something that we're doing and pressing that we can't answer the phone, like filming video, or if we're going out to dinner, or we're hosting another couple, or I'm playing golf, whatever it is, I tell the kids first thing in the morning, I will not have my phone till 6 p.m. Full stop, or whatever the time might be. And those are small boundaries to set up. I think boundaries get more difficult when there's a lot more emotion around it, when people actually really do need you and you're having to give up what you're doing in order to satisfy the need that they have. But there are some really good books out there on boundaries.
And I wonder if, and maybe we can do another video on that, but for this person, DS loves Al, really for her to have a conversation with each of those three people to say that I'm willing to help you and I'm willing to do it what you want. You need to share with me what your needs really are, right, and I'll tell you where I can help you. But I cannot be the 24/7 helper for the entire family.
Yeah.
I just cannot. I need to spend more time with my husband. I need to do things on my own. And I would think that her children and parents, grandkids would understand that.
Well, I do also think that you have to be clear on what you do want to do.
Right.
So where the boundaries...
Versus just saying, I'm not going to help you, period.
Yeah, where the boundaries start to fade is when somebody says, well, Mom, she doesn't have anything to do all day. I mean, she's retired. And you go, yeah, it's true. I really don't do a lot all day. Now the door's wide open. So if you set up your schedule and communicate your schedule and you're comfortable with your schedule, then you find a day. I have a really good friend back in Connecticut whose daughter had 2 babies really quick. Other daughter was a business owner, and she was trying to figure out how to help support the business and help support the kids. And the kids were about an hour and a half or so away. So she'd get up at 4 a.m. to get to the house to watch the kids, so they could go to work. And then she'd race back to the studio and help the other daughter. And finally she said, I'm only willing to give Tuesday and Thursday. One daughter gets Tuesday, the other daughter gets Thursday. The rest of the time, you're going to have to purchase care and or help.
Yeah, and that's hard, right?
But she was very clear about what she needed to do. She was very clear about it.
Yeah, and that's a hard discussion to have with your children, for sure.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Watch this next one. 12 recognizable habits that can ruin your retirement. It's a great follow-up to the video that we just did here, Jody and I. So watch this next.